Finding lines. Back in the day, we only had 6 discs. Everybody wanted the same discs. So it was very easy to copy lines from good players. Would see lines posted by Drano or videos on YouTube by Dizzle, and I could copy those lines because I'm already bagging, the Accurate Windbreak Explorer or whatever he was using in the video most of the time. Nowadays, everybody uses lots of different stuff, so if you're not able to copy the lines of a different player, you can find your own lines, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So actually, don't look at my multiplayer. I was playing bad last night. Let's go to Challenge the Valley, play some Blueberry, and talk about some lines. Now, finding lines on your own, basically, you're going to want to find a neutral wind. This wind is not a neutral wind, but find a one wind and then find an aim point. The aim point is very, very important. I use pretty much the same aim point and adjust for wind most of the time. Sometimes the aim point needs to be adjusted if it's really a crazy wind. Now, I'm not expecting to get this in this wind, but I would normally slide over and aim up kind of high around these trees here, and then just kind of like stall it into the basket. Something like this. Didn't get there. Tough wind. Anyways, finding lines. Let's rethrow and try to give it a little more hyzer, see if we can't get it to go in. That's still not going to get there. Yeah, so you got to find a good aim point, and then you can adjust from there depending on what the wind is doing. And if you're lucky, you'll get that same wind that you practiced your aim point in, and you'll know exactly what the disc is going to do. But a lot of the times it'll be a different wind, and you'll have to give it a little bit more, a little bit less hyzer and hyzer. So this one, I usually throw an Accurate Roll Musket, aim it up here. Sometimes I use like the V in the tree here, depending on the wind. This is very neutral wind, so I'm gonna go with the V and give it a little bit of hyzer. You see, that's running the basket. It didn't go in, but I know if I would have gave it a little bit more hyzer, I was in. So you want something that's going to be running the basket, an aim point where you can pull straight back and it gives a good run at the basket, and then you can adjust from there. Now, this next hole really bugs me sometimes. I could go the big like backhand hyzer route, but I was getting in a lot of trouble doing that, so I started going forehand down the middle on the left side, and I'll slide over, aim right at this tree. I got to make sure I turn it over enough, especially with this wind. Usually I'll turn it too much, but this wind's working to my favor. My line worked out good, and I got a blueberry. That's attached to a badge, in case you didn't know. I've never really been one for doing those collective badges. That was a horrible throw-in, but yeah. We're practicing lines right now. So really just trying to get to the next hole so I can show you guys some of my shots and how I practice these lines. Alright, this one would be a forehand Accurate Windbreak Sapphire for me normally, but in this wind, I think the Brave can get there on a backhand, and it'd be much safer because a lot of the times here, I'll show you guys. A lot of the times the sapphire forehand will leave me stuck in the trees. It'll miss and it'll leave me stuck in the trees over here, which is not what I want. I get way too many pars that way, so I've started taking the Brave line when I can, especially with the wind like this, because it can go in and give it a chance. So you can totally get there. So yeah, that's what I've been doing on this one. Hole 5. Hole 5 is another Brave shot, I believe. This is a really strong wind. So normally I would be aiming the tip of the top chevron right here in a neutral wind, but this wind is so strong and such a tailwind and blowing also to the right, I'm going to move it down and over because I think this wind is really going to push me to the right and also forward. That looks like a pretty good adjustment. Almost. So close. You guys get the idea though. Adjusting for the wind. Sometimes the wind is strong enough where you do have to adjust the aim point, but mostly you have an aim point down in a 1 wind, you can adjust pretty easily in a 2 wind without having to adjust the aim point. This one I actually am adjusting the aim point because in a 1 wind I would move it, I would have it like right over here, but I'm going to move it more even with the basket, maybe a little to the right because I think it's going to fade right in there. This hole, for a long time when people weren't using putters, because we figured out that we could use a fuse for that and then open up another slot. Like I said, we only had 6 discs to use, so for a long time just had the fuse, and there was a forehand line would use on here, but once I got the Pure back in the bag, I started throwing that on the Ace Run holes, this hole and Sunshine Glade 1 basically. But yeah, let's see if we can't get this one in. A little bit low, a little bit low. Oh, it was a good line though. What we got left? 7. Blueberry 7. That's a good Ace Run hole. This is a good Ace Run hole. Accurate Extra Glide Musket or accurate Windbreak Sapphire. Good line to take. Sometimes I use the bees in the trees right here, but sometimes I use this tree. Johnny uses this tree. I think I seen a video of him using this tree as aim point. So we're going to use the Johnny tree because I think that wind's going to blow me towards the basket a little more and give it a nice straight pull. All right, well, maybe I should have used my aim point. Here, let's try my V in the tree and see if that ends up a little better. Right in the V in the tree. And it's coming to right now. You see, so that's all about adjusting. You can adjust it. Now I can leave it here and adjust my pullback and just give it a little bit more flip. That worked. You can also adjust the aim point. This is not one that I run, especially in this wind. I don't even know if it can get there, but when I do run it, I aim right about here. I'm going to try to turn it over because this wind's going to freaking slam it. And yes, it can get there in that wind. And it's safe. The only danger with that is getting stuck behind that tree. But yeah, I'm not really focusing on these throw-ins. I'm more so just trying to show you guys how to dial in some lines. This hole is not a good ace hole for me, the Brave is not exactly perfect for it. I think the Explorer is a little bit better of a disc for this Ace run, but I basically just try to aim it up in the sky. There's a mountain that I would use, but you can't see it because it's cloudy right now. But the wind is blowing so hard towards the basket, I'm actually adjusting that and moving it higher and farther right. Give it a little bit of hyzer and see what happens. Yeah, that wind pushed it way past the basket. Brave, sticky Brave got sticky. So that's a little insight on, developing some lines. See you later.